the procession in, and then we can signal the commencement of the program. Shall we rise for the procession of the Vice Chancellor? Shall we rise for the procession of the Vice Chancellor? We will take the national as well as the futa anthems. Shall we take our seats? And please let us hail Nigeria with a round of applause. And let us also hail FUTA for being compliant with developments around us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my Lord Spiritual and Temporal, on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Oladiji, I welcome us to this all-important program. It is the valedictory lecture of one of our erudite professors, Oluwole Charles Akinyokun, Professor of Software Engineering. A round of applause for him, please. The title of the lecture is Computer Software Industry, a Potential Source of Job and Wealth Creation for Youths in Nigeria. And in tandem with the established tradition of our university, today's program will be presided over by our Vice Chancellor, Professor Adenike Temidayo Oladiji. Madam Vice Chancellor, we welcome you, ma'am. With the Vice Chancellor, our other leaders of our academic community, we have with us the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, Professor Taiwo Amos. You are welcome, sir. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Development, Professor Sunday Oluyamo. You are welcome, sir. The Chief Scribe, as well as the Registrar of our institution, Mr. Charles Adeleye. Welcome you, sir. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, our bossa, Mr. Julius Adeshoba. You are welcome, sir. And of course, the Librarian of our university, Dr. Robert Awoyemi. You are welcome, sir. The Dean of our various schools are here also. We have with us the Chairman, Committee of Deans, as well as the Dean, School of Health and Mineral Sciences, Professor Adeleye Yekini Biodun Adifowoshe. You are welcome, sir. We have Professor Oluwatoyin Oluwadansi. You are welcome, ma. Professor Isaac Ajay is the Dean, School of Environmental Technology. You are welcome, sir. We have from the School of Computing, the Dean, Professor Boniface Alishe. We welcome you, sir. We also welcome the Dean School of Life Sciences, Professor Michael Ashamo. You are welcome, sir. The Dean School of Engineering and Engineering Technology, Professor Peter Oke. You are welcome. Dean School of Physical Sciences, Professor Barnabas Adebola. You are welcome. Dean School of Basic Medical Sciences, Professor Victor Okwenya. Professor Simeon Oke is the Dean School of Logistics and Innovation Technology. While the Dean School of Postgraduate Studies is Professor Oluwayo Bello Olusoji. We welcome you, sir. And of course, the Dean Student Affairs Division, Professor David Oke. You are welcome, sir. At this point, it is my singular honor and privilege to invite the very first female Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, our erudite Professor Adenike Oladiji, our Vice Chancellor.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Vice Chancellors, Academic and Development, the Registrar and other Principal Officers, my Lords, spiritual and temporal, top government functionaries, the Valedictory Lecturer, Professor Oluwole Charles Akinyokun, Provost, College of Health Sciences, Deans, Directors, and Heads of Department, especially the Dean of the School of Computing, distinguished members of Senate and Congregation, eminent scholars and friends of the university, members of staff and students of FUTA, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you to this valedictory lecture to be delivered by our own distinguished Professor of Software Engineering, Oluwole Charles Akinyokun. I welcome with reverence the spiritual and traditional leaders here present. I extend warm welcome to top government functionaries, captains of industries, friends of the university, and the entire staff and students of the university. I am particularly pleased to welcome the immediate and extended family members, friends, and well-wishers of the celebrant. I heartily congratulate and rejoice with the valedictory lecturer, Professor Oluwole Charles Akinyokun, on this special occasion in his life as an academic and public servant. May I at this juncture request that Professor Oluwole Charles Akinyokun please rise as I read his citations. Thank you so much, sir. Oluwole Charles Akinyokun was born on the 12th of June, 1954. He hails from Idanre, in Idanre local government area of Ondo State. He attended the famous Aquinas College, Akure, Ondo State, between 1964 and 1972, where he obtained O-level London General Certificate in Education. He also attended the Christ School at Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State, where he obtained the O-level West African School Certificate in December 1972. He obtained Advanced Level West African School Certificate in June 1974 at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and proceeded to the University of East Anglia, Norwich in the United Kingdom, where he bagged BSc with first-class honors in computer science and mathematics in June 1979. Thereafter, he proceeded to Indian Institute of Management in India, where he obtained PhD in computing studies with specialization in distributed database system in December 1984. Oluwole Charles Akinyokun joined the services of the Federal University of Technology, Akure, in September 1987 as senior lecturer in the Department of Industrial Mathematics and Computer Technology, and he rose through the ranks to the post of professor in October 1996. Professor Akinyokun's many contributions to the university system include: he was facilitator of a 210 million ETF grant for the construction and deployment of Digital Research and Resource Sharing Center for FUTA in 2010. He also facilitated a 30 million National Information Technology Development Agency, that is NITDA, Special Intervention Fund for the establishment of Information Technology Center here in FUTA in 2010. He facilitated the linkage of FUTA with the Commonwealth Universities Commission, London, on the recruitment of computer science lecturers and professors from overseas in 2004. He facilitated the first Bank of Nigeria PLC endowment of 7,500,000 naira professorial chair in computer science in FUTA in the year 2000. He was chairman, Sports Council of FUTA between 1997 and the year 2000. And during this period, FUTA ruled the male and female sprints in Nigerian universities game, NUGA, and the West Africa University Games, WAUG. He was acting director of the Computer Center, FUTA, between 1988 and 2000. He was the first substantive head of Department of Industrial Mathematics and Computer Science in FUTA between 2002 and 2003. He was also the first substantive head of Department of Computer Science between 2003 and 2005. He was member University Governing Council between 1990 and 1993. And from 1995 till date, he has been a permanent member of the University Senate. Professor Akinyokun has made significant contributions to the body of knowledge in the field of computer science and information technology. He has authored and co-authored over 150 publications, including conference proceedings in reputable journals. He has successfully mentored and supervised over 51 PhD theses and master's dissertation in FUTA, and has served as external examiner of both undergraduate and postgraduate theses in many universities within Nigeria and overseas. He belongs to many national, regional, and international learned societies. I cannot mention all, but he is a fellow of the International Chartered World Learning Society. He is also a fellow of the Nigerian Computer Society and a member, Computer Professionals Registration Council of Nigeria, and also a member, International Federation for Information Processing. Again, I cannot read all. Professor Oluwole Akinyokun's research experience cuts across diverse areas of computer science, software engineering, as well as information technology in Nigeria, India, France, Canada, and the United States. In the course of his exemplary career, he attended many conferences within and outside Nigeria and made rich presentations either as a participant or a keynote speaker. Professor Oluwole Akinyokun is a recipient of many national and international awards, honors, distinctions in the course of his education career. Some of the awards, I can mention some of them. He has an award for Outstanding Scholar by the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Department of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. In 2011, he has the Commonwealth Scholarship for PhD degree program in the United Kingdom between 1981 and 1984. He has an award at the Institute of Software Practitioners of Nigeria in 2011, and it's a special recognition. But more importantly, in his local community, Aquinas College, Akure Old Students Association Award for Outstanding Commitment to the Ideals and Objectives of Aquinas College, Akure. He has that award. And he also has from Idari Educational Foundation award. At different times, Professor Akinyokun served outside FUTA in different academic and administrative capacities. He was chairman, Committee of Deans, Bells University, Ota, Ogun State. He was chairman, National Universities Commission Accreditation Panel to some Nigerian universities. He was chairman, Amateur Athletics Association of Nigeria, Ondo State Chapter. He was member, University Governing Council, Bells University of Technology, Ota. He was member, program committee at the 14th International Conference of Computer Cooperative Network in Design in Shanghai, China. I cannot read all. Also, Professor Akinyokun is actively involved in Christian and secular activities, some of which include he was member, Youth Christian Circle of the St. Paul's Anglican Church, Idanre. He is patron Ondo State Amateur Athletic Association. He will be retiring gracefully from the services of the university after 37 years of meritorious service. And this will take effect from the 12th of June, 2024, when he shall have attained the mandatory age of 70 years. That's the retirement age of academics on professorial cadre. Professor Akinyokun is happily married and is blessed with promising children. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the podium our esteemed valedictory lecturer, Professor Oluwole Charles Akinyokun. Professor.
My Vice Chancellor, it's indeed a privilege and honor that I'm here today to give this valedictory lecture titled Computer Software Industry, a Potential Source of Job and Wealth Creation for Youth in Nigeria. Yes. The outline of my presentation is as given there. We have introduction, background information, lecturer, that's me, profile of mentored postgraduate students, especially the PhD students, classification of nations of the world during the agricultural, industrial, and IT revolution, Nigerian economy in the past decades. I try to give information about software industry in India, Israel, and Ireland. I give a study of software industry in Nigeria. The emphasis on the vision, mission, and objective of software industry in Nigeria, the strength of software industry in Nigeria, opportunities of software industry, weaknesses of software industry, and threats of software industry in Nigeria. Then I gave a conclusion, round up everything with acknowledgements and references. In the introduction, I give the following. The background information of the valedictory lecturer and profile of the postgraduate students, especially the PhD students, are presented. I give the information that information technology is the fastest growing technology in the world today. The hardware was the major driving force of computer science between 1940 and 1979. But things changed dramatically in 1980 when the major driving force of computer is software. This development changed the method, the national resource-based economy, in knowledge-based industry, or knowledge-based economy. Up to 1980, information processing was based on database system. But today, emphasis is on data mining, data warehousing, artificial intelligence, internet connectivity, World Wide Web technology, knowledge engineering, and many others. The engine of IT as a global agent for social change in an emergent technology economy is computer software. The computer software is a tool for good governance, optimal productivity, transparency, and accountability, with a proven potential to contribute to national gross domestic products. Software development is the new shift in the industry of human development, with immense ability to bridge the economic gap between the developed nation and the developed nation. Akinyokun et al. 2022. That was a paper I published in Florida in 2022. The classification of nations of the world during the agricultural industrial revolution and IT revolution is presented, and the position of Nigeria at each stage was identified. The depth study of software industry in India, Israel, and Ireland is presented. The study of software industry in Nigeria with emphasis on the vision, mission, objectives, strength, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats shows that Nigeria has the potential for the emergency of a global competitive in ancillary product, services, and markets, with ancillary beneficial tool, ancillary beneficial impact of poverty alleviation, gender equality, job creation, and wealth creation of youth in the world at large. There is evidence that domestic market for software products and services is huge, and as exemplified by the increasing penetration of internet connectivity, World Wide Web technology, mobile phone usage, neurocomputing technology, innovation, development, and deployment of national database, multimedia, biometric identification and authentication, knowledge discovery, data mining and data warehousing, emergent response system, and a host of other platforms. The challenge facing Nigeria is how much of the market opportunities is likely to the emergence of vibrant local software economy and acceptability as opposed to net negative capital flight, job losses, and international competitiveness. What I mean by capital flight and job losses, we know all our industries, they import software from abroad, and they spend quite a lot on that, and quite a lot on the maintenance. This is what is eating our, whereas we have Nigerians who can do all this software for us. Background information of the valedictory lecture, that is me. The Vice Chancellor has given a very good profile of me, but I still have to lay emphasis on some few things for the benefit of all of us. Oluwole Akinyokun was born on June 12, 1954, at Idari local government, Ondo State, Nigeria. He had general certificate of education at ordinary level, London. I did ordinary level GCE when I was in Form 4, and I passed. I passed with 5 subjects: mathematics, additional math, physics, chemistry. I did not do biology throughout my Form 4, but I did biology at school sat, and I had B3. And I had ordinary level certificate from Aquinas College, Akure, on Western State Scholarship. I proceeded to Christ School Ado-Ekiti for my higher education. This was the period Nigeria changed the system from June to June. I spent only 1.5 years for a 2-year course, and I had my advanced level. I left Christ School Ado-Ekiti at 1994 for Obafemi Awolowo University to study computer science and mathematics. And I came out with first class. And during my education at that undergraduate level, I was on NNPC scholarship. I was retained in Ife for my youth service corps, and I worked in the computer center for 1 year. Before the 1 year ended, I applied for Commonwealth scholarship, and I was given. So I went to University of East Anglia, Norwich, for my PhD degree, and I had it in 1994, exactly 3 years. I spent exactly 3 years, and I was there with my family and two children, and I have a child. So any student that have children and they are not doing well now, they are not serious. I was in Britain at that time with my wife and 3 children, and I was coping with them, and I had my PhD within 3 years. I returned to Nigeria immediately, though I had many offers of appointment. I was given lecturer 1 position in 1984 at University of Glasgow, and I refused. I said, I'm going to develop my own country. The then president of this country, Professor Buhari, was the chairman of the NNPC scholarship that I had at undergraduate level. And in my last letter, my last sentence in my study plan, I said, when I finish my PhD, I will return to Nigeria, in any university, to develop the country. So my supervisor put pressure on me. I told him no. That job with University of Glasgow was retained for me for 3 years, hoping that I would come back, but I never went back. I went back to Ife. As lecturer 1 in 1985. 2 years later, in 1987, I decided to move to FUTA, where I resided in the Department of Industrial Mathematics and Computer Science. There I was. In 1992, I became a reader. I would have become a reader earlier, but there was a rule in the university then, by NUC, that I had to spend 10 years in the academics. That was why my ascension to reader or professor didn't hold until I became a 10-year-old academic staff in 1995. So I became a full professor in 1995. And that brought about the first professor of computer science in FUTA. At the same time, I became the first professor of computer science of First Bank in FUTA. At that time, many people are being honored with professor of bank or professor of whatever. I think one of the renowned staff is sitting with me here today. There were many of us there, many of them that became professor of animal science. I told them, even when this scholarship, when this award was given to me in 1977, with a car, a brand new car, 1977, I said, go and take away your car. I want to get professor of computer science in FUTA. And until I got that professor, I never took up the professor of post-file. So I took up the professor between 2000 and 2002. I was the director of Computer Center between 1988 and 2000, 12 good years. I was the director of Computer Center for 12 good years in FUTA. During the period, the NUC adjudged the Computer Center in FUTA has been the best. Because we had the best, we were the first to bring in new computer systems to apply computer in what we are doing. I was the chairman of FUTA Sports Council between 1977 and 2000, during which FUTA ruled the male and female sprint in Nigeria University Games. National Sports Festival, Imo, the National Sports Festival was held in Imo State at that time. Oodua State Sports Council, a sports festival in 1998. And rule of with the best sprinter in male and female in the West African University Games, NUGA, in 2000. In 1996, the federal government proposed that every university should negotiate with the governing council of their university to decide what salary befits us. My committee, which was made of 15 members, was the only university that made representation available to the federal government at that time, which was used for negotiating staff salaries at that time. I was a consultant to the Federal Ministry of Commerce and Industry between 1992 and 1993. I was a consultant to the Federal Inland Revenue Service on the computerization of value-added tax. Today, everybody hears about value-added tax. I was the champion of that program. With Chief Nayeju there from Okitipupa area, was the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. And I published 2 papers at that time, Akinyokun, 1993A, Akinyokun, 1993B. I was a member and fellow of many organizations, many professional bodies. I was working with Ondo State government with my work as the director of Computer Center and senior lecturer of Computer Science. I was working with Ondo State government to set up Management Information Center for Ondo State. And when Usman was leaving for Ibadan, he took me along. He told them in Ibadan, I have somebody who can help you to develop your computer system. And during Lam Adesina's reign as the governor of Oyo State, and at that time, I was made Justice of Peace in 1992. When Usman was leaving Oyo State, he introduced me to the governor of Osun State, and I helped the Osun State to set up their own Management Information Center. And I remained a consultant or resource person to NITDA, National Information Technology Development Agency, from 2004 to 2016. During that period, I was made the chairman of Software Policy Committee in 2010. I was a member of Nigerian contingent to the Committee of Development of Information Science and Technology held in the United Nations Conference Center in Addis Ababa between May 2, 2011 and May 5, 2011. It was at this time I realized we Yoruba, we at Nigeria were bragging. Every office in that United Nations Center, you find Ghanaian there. Go and check today. There were Ghanaian here, Ghanaian here. But how many of us were there? I just languishing, talking about rubbish in Nigeria. I just want to mention a few things I did for FUTA. I was the first to attract National Cash Register Nigeria Limited Endowment Fund to FUTA in 1990. At that time, they gave us 2 brand new computers and 4 brand new computers with UPS and quite a lot of things. I attracted First Bank Nigeria Endowment Fund on computer science in 1997, though I didn't take it up until 2000. Central Bank of Nigeria Endowment Fund on Computer Resource Center. You have Computer Resource Center now. They don't remember me again. Since that center has been created in FUTA, I've never been a member of the board. You see how foolish we are? Yes, I've never been one. I never thought somebody worked for it. I was the one who brought that National Computer Resource Center to FUTA. And Kupoluyi, who is the director now, can attest to it. I didn't care because I was still helping them to attract more funds. In Best University, where I did my first sabbatical leave after almost 16 years, I helped to bring to that university AfriHub Nigeria Limited intervention on IT infrastructure and capacity building to base OTA in 2006. ETF Special Intervention Fund on Information and Communication Technology Center to Federal Polytechnic Ede. You will wonder why I went to Ede. Some of my friends working with the government then called on me, please, we have money and we want to spend it for 10 universities, but there are conditions, and I will tell you the conditions. Any university that wants that, we have to bring back to us 20%. Yes? And 20% for me, who negotiated for that thing, and the university, we have 20%. I talked to Obafemi Awolowo University, talked to Ibadan, talked to Lagos. They refused. Ede accepted it, and FUTA accepted it. That building you have there, it was part of the money we used to build that thing. It is unfortunate. A year later, some certain VC came in and they wanted to make that building the university property. And I must be very grateful to the now present Dean, Mr. Boniface Kayode Aleche, who stood his ground that it was Akinyokun that negotiated this thing. It cannot be to the university. That's why that thing remained. University, that place remained computer science building. That building would have been tremendous. I would have used my knowledge to build the place tremendously, but they kept me off. Then I kept quiet. They didn't make 10%, 20% available to me. I didn't bother. But the body was there. All along, since 1985, I've published a lot of papers on databases, expert system, and quite a lot of things. I have to mention to this gathering today that I was the first to run a computer education on our television in Ondo State for 13 weeks. I ran it for 13 weeks in Ondo State. For 13 weeks. In fact, that was what brought Usman to know who is this man talking. When the bachelor was sitting with him, he said, that's my teacher. He said, bring this your teacher to my office. I want to talk to him. And that was how Usman brought me in properly to the arms of the Ondo State government. I was a guest speaker on NTA on the issue of the moment, cultism in tertiary institutions in Nigeria in 1997. Those of us who can remember that, there was chaos, there was problem in Nigeria. I was invited, and another colleague was invited, but I was the only one who showed up to give that lecture. And I told the public how cultism began in Nigeria from the time when Wole Soyinka was the helm of the affairs. And I educated them. I've been external examiners, I've been assessors in Nigerian universities and many universities over the world. I've examined PhD students in India, more than 20 of them. I've examined students from a university in France and many other universities. I just want to say this on a personal note, that Professor Akinyokun is a popular character who gives freely to help both students and colleagues with their theoretical and analytic problems. He is indeed friendly and approachable. He is highly intelligent. I don't know, but I know. Very focused, result-oriented, and team player and team leader. When I have to work under some people, I press so low. He works tirelessly towards the achieving of organizational goals. Those of us who have been in FUTA for long will see that I've always worked for the achievement of the university. I don't work for my own achievement, because I believe that the achievement of FUTA will lead to the achievement of me and other people. The attainment of such goals is a source of excitement to him. He is pragmatic, compassionate in dealing with colleagues. He seeks opportunities for growth with the belief that the growth of individuals within an organization is dependent on the growth of the organization. His communication and organizational skills are excellent. He is both morally and physically stable and enjoys good health. You see, I had to work with the vice chancellor to track down. They had to put this here. I said I don't need it, but they put it here just for convenience. I can stand here for a whole day to lecture you. A whole day. He is a gentleman who has the courage of his conviction on issues. He is greatly endowed with excellent sense of judgment and on issues. To see, I have supervised, I'm giving you the background information about those I have supervised. I have supervised 17 students for PhD in FUTA. 17. And out of the 17, 10 of them are now professors. 10. I have supervised over 100 master students, and about 10 of them are now professors. If you want me to name them, I can name them for you to know. I have produced 2 vice chancellors. 2 vice chancellors. I will just give a skeletal information about my postgraduate student. I don't have time to give the details as I have here, but those of you who have a copy of the book, you will read. It's written in the book. I will give the title, the topic of their research, and where they are today. The last PhD student I supervised is called OK Omoruyi. The title of his thesis is Development of Smart System for Combating Human Kidnapping. There are many cases of kidnapping in Nigeria. We have to look at it. But I will mention it later. There is no coherence, no collaboration between academic staff and the public and private sectors on what they are doing. So they don't help in the development, in the deployment of this research work. This fellow worked on developing a smart system for combating human kidnapping. Today, Omoruyi is in UK, United Kingdom, working in a company as the head of the Department of Software Development. That's all I want to say about that fellow. The second last person is Dr. Adewole. That was in 2019. The title of his thesis is Development of Hybrid System for Human Resource Monitoring and Location. Adewole at that time was a staff in Akuba, University of Adekunle Ajase at Kuba. But today he's in FUTA as lecturer 1. You have Dr. U.D. George. This is from University of Uyo. He developed intelligent clustering technique for classification of terrorist acts. George today is a senior lecturer in University of Uyo. Akpan, the title of his thesis is Development of Hybrid Intelligence System for Flood Management. This was in 2018. You will know that there were cases of flood issues in Nigeria and over the world at that time. I picked up this today. He is a principal lecturer in the Polytechnic of Nasarawa State, Federal Polytechnic, Nasarawa State, Nigeria. You have Ata Jemowu. Atajeromowu. Is he here? Hey, good. Atajeromowu. You see, I used to refer to my students as my colleagues. They will know me now. You see, all of them are here to work with me. He developed an oil well monitoring and control system. At that time, he was the deputy rector of the Polytechnic in Oguachuku, but today he's a senior lecturer in university. Okay. Udo, SS Udo, in 2016. The title of his thesis was Development of Adaptive Neurofuzzy Discrete Event Specification Monitoring Petroleum Product Pipeline. This was the time when the Niger people were tapping on the petroleum, stealing and all that. I conducted that research. Udo is now a senior lecturer in the University of Uyo. KG Akitola, Dr. KG Akitola is now a professor in FUTA. The title of his thesis is Development of Adaptive Video Analytic Framework for Real-Time Human Identity and Activity. S.A. Arekete is now a professor in Redeemers University. And he is here now. Can you stand up? He's one of the first students in FUTA. Great man. Right? He developed a mobile agent system for monitoring and evaluation of activities of users in network. Where something is happening in your computer system, you program the system to monitor instead of somebody carrying tools and whatever, moving from one place to another. He is now a professor of computer science in Redeemer University. Inyanga, he developed a knowledge discovery system for oil village risk monitoring. He is now a professor of computer science in University of Uyo. Iwashokun. He developed a hybrid platform for pattern recognition and machine thumbprints. This was a case when they were fighting for who wins the election in Ondo State. And we have to start working on thumbprinting. And from our paper, we find out that nobody can claim that somebody does thumbprint, because the thumbprint you have during an election is not through due process. And that work has helped Nigeria. You have never heard about anybody coming up with that since then. Mr. Iwashokun is now my HOD, a professor. Adeyemo, A.B. Adeyemo, who developed a lithology data mining and warehousing system. a case study of Niger Delta region of Nigeria. Mr. A.B. Adeyeba is now a professor of computer science in University of Ibadan. Imiang is an Edo man. He developed a mobile agent system for evaluating the use of bandwidth in computer network. Professor Arekete took up his job and improved on it. Imiang is now a professor, has been a professor for over 10 years now in University of Benin. Obot is from University of Uyo. He developed the Urofuzi expert system for the diagnosis and therapy of cardiovascular disease, a case study of heart failure. You imagine how am I supervising? I work with people. I work with the people in medical line. And Uyo, I got the information that he became a professor about a week or two ago. In 2005, you have Olabode O. The title of his thesis was, the topic of his thesis was Decision Support System for Population Census and Projection in Nigeria. Olabode is now a professor for over 10 years in FUTA. He has been my HOD for some time, so we are still working. Stella Chiemeke from University of Benin at that time. He took up this job when a lot of computer projects were failing, and he has to look into it. And he came up with an idea, which when the paper was presented in US, the statisticians in US were wondering, where did this man come from? We have heard about those things before, but we have never implemented it. That's why we have a lot of brains in Nigeria. We have to try. Chiemeke is one of the professors and now a VC of a university, University of Niger Delta. You have Mrs. Chogmon, who worked on computer-aided system for capital investment appraisal. Mrs. Chogmon was the director of academic planning in Lagos State University at that time. You have Mr. Dr. F.M.E. Uzoka. The last three people, Uzoka, Chogmon, and Chiemeke, I took them up at the same time. And they were coming to me for lectures. And we were shifting our base of study from one state to another. I took their inaugural lecture on the same day. On the same day, I took their inaugural lecture on the same day. And they all passed. Dr. Uzoka is now a professor in Canada. He has been a professor for over 10 years. This is all that I have to give about my students. Now, on classification of nations during agricultural and IT revolution. One of the most strategic tools in the adventure of human history during agricultural revolution is the compass. The power of the compass was very critical to the slave trade process and the disaster to the African continent. Owaje 2010. During the slave trade process, Nigeria became a tool. Nigerians were sent abroad to help to develop agricultural economy of the first nation and the second nation. Because at that time there were three nations: first nation, second nation, and the third nation. And Nigeria belonged to the third nation. During the period of industrial revolution, Nigeria made substantial contribution. There was mass production of goods and services, and education was viewed as the main fuel of development. But the oil boom of 1970 collapsed the whole thing, when Nigeria took interest in consumption. The middle class income earners collapsed. You know, we have before three income earners: the first class, the second class, and the middle class. The middle class collapsed, and there was a big gap between the rich and the poor. The world nations then were classified as developed nation and developing nation. Nigeria belongs to the developing nation. Many nations take note of this point. Many nations that were in the same page with Nigeria during the agricultural revolution, such as India, China, Singapore, Malaysia, and many others, relied on government, private and local communities to attain and sustain growth and development. But in Nigeria, our government said they are the power. They own all schools, they own all health centers, they own everything. And there was no development. You know where China is today. We were in the same platform as the industrial age. During this IT revolution, in the 21st century, the 21st century is innovated and spurred by IT implication. Such economy demanded new policies and new generations of political leaders. Nigerian leaders, key policy advisors, and educators have to clearly understand IT dynamics, implementation, policies, and strategies that create the capacity to compete. When I was in Britain, you see the way I competed. If you go to the university I attended in Britain today, you ask about Akinyokun. A copy of this, many of them will have been here today, but because of this security and all sorts of things, that's why they were not coming. The significant components of the total cost of overwhelming of IT solution lies in software and not the hardware, as I've started with. It is noted that developing and sustaining software exports will not be possible without a vibrant domestic market. Market forces alone are incapable of accelerating the development of IT due to its fast pace. Government must bring forth the political will to shore up IT development. Nigeria has to consider the benefits of internet within the angle view of e-business, open source software, e-education, e-government, and so on. And you see that we are already engaging in that now, little by little. Today, Nigeria uses over 65 million cell phones. We use that. And manufactured nor assembled none. Nigeria is not involved in assembling any of these things. We own about 99 million SIM cards. We were to register all these SIM cards, but the registration was not followed up with legislation. Somebody will phone you today. I'm still at the middle of my presentation. If you want to listen, fine. If you don't want to listen. Right? Nigeria now has about 99 million SIM cards. Somebody will phone you today. You will block his number. He buys another phone, another SIM. This problem is creating a lot of problems for us. So we have to brace up. Economy of Nigeria in the past decades. In the past decades, we relied on agriculture and indirect taxes. But suddenly, petroleum came in, and we relied on petrol. Everybody, you go to Ojaba market now, all the pedestrian walkthroughs are occupied by hawkers. Hawkers. Everybody is carrying suitcases and doing business. The oil boom caused a direct fall in the contribution of agricultural sectors to the national economy. The oil boom brought about the attitude of Nigeria having preference for very high taste of goods and services. The middle class income earners suddenly collapsed. I've said that before. The global recession of 1980 exposed the structural weakness of the petroleum-based economy of Nigeria. As the oil prices dropped, the economy found itself in the throes of chronic disequilibrium. This development compelled the federal government to resort to various calculated at moderating the deterioration economic condition. As part of the structural program, as part of the structural adjustment program, a move was made to overhaul the indirect tax, and there was a creation of sales tax. The success story of the sales tax brought about the value-added tax. And I wrote two papers there, Akinyokun 1993A, Akinyokun 1993B. There was a conference called NEET 2004, the National Economic Empowerment and Development Strategy, which is widely considered as Nigerian plan to prosperity. It's legislated national roadmap for economic empowerment and development. NEET focused on 4 key strategies, namely reorientation values, reducing poverty, creating wealth, and generating employment. Basically, the major goal of NEET is the engineering of the growth process of Nigeria by exploring the means of diversifying the national products base away from petroleum products, services, and markets. Subsequently, SEED was created, that is the State Empowerment Program, and leads the local empowerment program. There was a reoccurrence of global recession in 2015. Global recession again, which exposed the structural weakness of the petroleum-based economy. The oil prices have continued to drop since then, and you know it's dropping today. Fast. Many citizens of Nigerian society have capitalized on the development by setting up Yahoo business, social media business, Nollywood business, and many other platforms, which are surely windows to a lot of corrupt and criminal practices. You see, we have a lot of criminal practices today. It's unfortunate I don't have some of us from the government to listen to all these things. The computer software, which is one of the major companies of IT, was grossly ignored, which will have been followed. I just want to give a brief story about India, Ireland, and Israel. The death study of software industry in India, Israel, and Ireland was identified and analyzed on 3 major platforms: foundation stage, growth stage, and consolidation stage. During the foundation stage, India and Israel addressed specific IT education to empower their citizens, while India addressed the empowerment of the software industry. Basically, the 3 countries conceptualized their efforts on building IT skills and software workforce. During the growth stage, India started to indigenize software industry. India started a small cluster of software business to cater for the growth of domestic services and markets, while Israel established some high-profile software industry. During the consolidation phase, we saw the growth of small industries or software development firms into global markets through linkage, collaboration, and partnership with multinationals. Like I said, many things we are doing in the university, we don't expose ourselves. If you look through what I gave you about myself, you see how I've been moving from one ministry to another. And you see that what I've produced were very useful. But not many of us bring all the software industry into it. A lot of advanced research and development work, which a lot of research and development work was common during this period, which gave rise to the acquisition of advanced knowledge of skill in software engineering. This period was the emergence of indigenous software firms from the nations and international stock markets and avenues. For example, it was recorded in 13, that's in Oluwole, 2010, that the revenue from software experts in India rose from 120 million US dollars in 1988 to 2.5 billion US dollars in 1998 to 10 billion US dollars in 2002 and 50 billion US dollars in 2008. Today we are interested in social media and all that. I don't know. The India initiatives and experience were overwhelmed, designed, promoted, and managed and sustained by IT professional bodies, practitioners, academia, software industry, and local government, state government, and national government. But in Nigeria, the federal government is taking over university. The federal government is taking over production of electricity. The federal government is taking over everything. So here we are today. The national grid is locked. Who can open it now? Nobody. We are in trouble. My Vice Chancellor, I'm sorry you give me extra time a bit for me to conclude. There are major schools of thought in software industry in Nigeria. I stated this in one of the papers I published in 2002. The first school of thought, take a study of software and use the knowledge acquired to develop software system that will enhance the performance of the domain staff. The second school of thought, take a study of the structure and functions of the human body and use the knowledge to acquire and build human-like intelligence systems. Today, software is applied in almost every field of human endeavor. But what are we doing in Nigeria for some time now? We only depend on the quantitative element of data. The qualitative aspects are ignored. In 2004, the National Software Development Task Force was set up by the National Ministry of Science and Technology. And they work on it, but their work were not backed up with any legislation. Until NIDA came up in 2010 and set up the National Software Policy Committee, with members drawn from a broad spectrum of stakeholders to develop national software policy, aimed at providing a blueprint to make Nigeria a competitive nation. And I happened to be the chairman of the National Software Policy at that time. The vision of the National Software Policy is innovative nation, creative minds, connected and propelled by software capability. The National Software Policy Committee missions are highlighted as below. The objective of the National Software Policy is also presented as we find it there. We want to get to the very point of issue now. I'm very sorry, sir, that I'm taking your time, but it's for the good of every one of us. I'm leaving today, but your child may come and leave all this tomorrow. So if you take the time to listen to what I will say, very good. I've been very lucky. When this strike was looming about three days ago, I called on my God. Is this the way you want to end my life? No. I took the bold stand, and today it's happening, isn't it? The strength of software industry in Nigeria. The population of Nigeria is about 240 million. And the population of the youth that can start software industry is about 60% of 240. The youth are extremely strong. The youth have extremely strong passion for learning, entrepreneurial culture and drive. The schools in Nigeria are many, and the language of instruction is English language, which is very helpful to our youth. There is existence of core local and foreign experts, like me now, and all the students I've trained. And many Nigerians in diaspora who are software experts, practitioners, and professionals that are willing to collaborate with the public and private sectors in software development. The public and private sectors in the past years have engaged themselves with the retooling or re-engineering their personnel. You go to many ministries now, they are retooling their personnel. There is existence of National Information Technology Agency, NIDA Act of 2007, empowering, coordinating, implementing national software industry. The public and private sectors are currently engaged in knowledge engineering, e-government, e-business, e-payment. You can send millions of naira to a friend now on your handset, isn't it? So, my mother, who never read much, can use their phone now and tell some people what to do, isn't it? Nigeria is involved in outsourcing, which is considered as preparation ground for collaboration. Many of us are involved in outsourcing. Many outside world call on me to tell them what to do, which I don't report to FUTA. All right? There are programs such as e-government, e-business initiative, e-payment, and e-national personnel and payroll management system. You know, if in universities we've once had the IPPIS, isn't it? So they are doing all those things. There are existence of institutional capacity that support investment, promotion, and that. That is on the strength of software industry in Nigeria. On the opportunities, there is an emergence of local demand for indigenous software services and products. There is the potential of software industry as a source of job and wealth creation in the youth and Nigeria. There is an emergence of Nigerian software products, services, and markets that are capable of effective and efficient competing in the global market. There is an emergency cross-cutting impact of software industry in other sectors of Nigeria, of national economy. There is international interest in emerging economy, improvement of quality of life, and poverty alleviation. Today, you want to buy Coke, they say somebody will tell you 4 naira. You go to any other place, it is the same amount. Through what? Through EIT, you get all this information. You price something today in Akure here, you go to Lagos, it's the same thing. Through IT. Now, weaknesses of a software industry in Nigeria. There is no national software policy, institutional framework for development. In intellectual property rights, there is none. Law enforcement agency approved by the National Executive Council, there is none. They are always fighting for money. What they will take home. They don't legislate anything that will help this country to grow. How many of them are friends that are friends But I've dissociated myself from many of them today. There is the absence of standard and quality assurance for software products and services. No quality assurance. Software required by public and private sectors is often procured from abroad with very high cost and maintenance cost. The training of Nigerian schools of computer programming emphasizes science and engineering. The training emphasizes science and engineering. They don't talk about arts. They don't talk about economics, about the political. No. So, the professionals that graduate from these universities, they always place computers a competitor with human experts. The trainers subsequently lay emphasis on the computer as artificial expert rather than something that will help users to improve their lives. In many cases, end users are often scared and view computer as a potential threat to job security. I said I've been a director of computer center for 12 years. I know how people feel worried. The home-based software experts, professionals and practitioners who pass through the curriculum of the schools of computer programming have very limited knowledge of the social, political, and economic impact of data. In the absence of national software policy, the appropriate linkage, collaboration, partnership of experts, professionals and practitioners with the public and private sectors are not handled appropriately. There is no appropriate collaboration of the academic staff of tertiary institutions on research development and deployment with the public and private sectors. The coordination of many capacity building programs funded by multinational bodies to provide basic software skills are not supported at the public and private sectors. The public and private sectors neglect their border promotion programs that are desirable. There is inadequate provision for basic data processing infrastructure. For example, the performance of electricity, telecommunication, and internet service providers are not appropriate. There is poor indigenous investment in software industry. Threats. This is the final thing. There is inadequate continuity in initiatives such as public formalization, strategic plan, implementation procedure to nurture local software industry products, services, and markets. The indigenous banking system is characterized by a tendency for high interest rates, which is difficult for young people to take up. There is a culture of weak linkage between policy formulation and policy implementation. I want to explain this. Those who formulate policy, they have looked at books and books from far and wide, and they formulate policy. But those who formulate implementation, they are never, the government will ignore those people who plan it. And that's what is happening in Nigeria. We have many workable plans, but there are no implementation plans. There are no implementation plans. During the time BAT was being developed, if most of the things I was proposing, Nayeju ignored me and bring in other people, we wouldn't be getting what we are getting from it today. Conclusion. The major source of country, the major resources of the country is man, money, method, material, and time. Man uses money, method, material, and time to achieve the aims and objectives of the country. The improper procurement, development, deployment, and evaluation of the man resource has often led to the improper procurement, development, deployment, evaluation, and utilization of other resources. If you bring somebody up who is not very knowledgeable about it, what will he recommend? Like they are bringing to Nigeria now rickety boxes that have been used for over 50 years. They will go and repaint it and refurbish it. I don't know. When they work for about 2 months to 3 months, they start breaking down and we have some problems. The rate of growth of development of a country depends largely on the quality of the man resource. Many countries in the world today are yet to develop appropriately because of the poor procurement, or the poor performance of the man resource. In the past decade, the economy of all countries has been largely driven by money. Today, we are not living on money, we are living on knowledge. Knowledge. We are living on knowledge economy, not money economy. You can have money now, your money is useless. You don't have the knowledge of it. In view of the abundant strength and opportunities of Nigerian software industry, the establishment of software incubation, development, and deployment centers in the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria is imperative. The longevity of attitude of people towards IT is indeed open to question. And I know of somebody, a book I bought in 1985 when I was leaving Britain, where he wrote, it is stated in that book that if every instrument could do its own work, he, the shuttle, should weave of itself, and the plectrum should play the harp unneeded. Then managers will not need workers, and masters will not need staff. And this is to tell us that computer doesn't take us, but creates jobs. From my experience, any successful new technology in history has always created its own application that do not exist at the time it was conceived. For example, the electricity, telephone, telecommunication system, automobile, and the computer were invented. Little did we know that they can work together now to drive our way. It is believed that software engineering will bring up new jobs for Nigeria. There exist many policy documents for each sector policy plans of Nigeria, but the document for the implementation plans are practically not available, and when they are available, they are useless. This lecturer has identified software industry as an emerging source of job and wealth creation. Among the success factors are the economic strength, viability, high potential, and human capital existence of entrepreneurial culture, drive, and command in oral English language. My Vice Chancellor, ma'am, I believe that a lot can be gained in IT, which drive global economy in the world today. I want to end the lecture by reading my acknowledgements. Please, a book is published, the lecture materials. A copy will be made available for some special people. If you want to buy, you can sell it at a cheap price Osoto. Acknowledgement. I acknowledge the past and present Vice Chancellor of FUTA for providing strong and sustainable platform for me to exhibit my knowledge on the application of computer in the world and in Nigeria. My thanks to the current Vice Chancellor, the principal officers and committee of deans of FUTA for approving the presentation of this valedictory lecture. I must be very grateful to you. My special thanks to the Dean of the School of Computing, my able friend, Professor Boniface Kayode Alichik, and the head of the Department of Software Engineering, Professor Gabriel Babatunde Iwashoku, for following up my request with the VC then and making sure that this event holds today. This event is holding today because of some other people. I must be very grateful to the chairman of ASU that subscribed to this. The ASU chairman. My gratitude to the staff of the School of Computing and other schools in FUTA, with which I shared knowledge of teaching, research, innovation, development, and deployment. My thanks to the staff, students, and friends of FUTA for attending this valedictory lecture. I must acknowledge very thoroughly my research students. Uzoka, Shogbon, Chiemeke, Olabode, Obot, and quite a lot of them, up to the last person. I told you, I've produced about 18 professors in Nigeria. 18 professors. There is one professor, Professor Aribisala, who is the Vice Chancellor of Odua University. He has now left. He's no longer there. I must be very grateful to Angaye, Professor Angaye, the director of NIDA. I must be very grateful to Governor of Osun State, the Governor of Oyo State, Lam Adeshina, Governor of Ondo State, Colonel Usman, late now, late Professor Stoker Peter, my PhD supervisor. He's a great man. This was a man who he got his master's in computer science in 1940. His master's. I'm grateful to Dr. Odeyemi of Davis Nigeria Limited, who was my first lecturer in database system in Ife at that time. Application of computer in pay-as-you-earn income tax. And the director of Computer Center of Obafemi Awolowo University. Late Professor Jayesimi, my BSc dissertation supervisor. Late Chief Babalola, who was my first class teacher in modern mathematics. Aquinas was the first institution that started modern mathematics in the 60s. And Babalola was my teacher then. That was why I said 1 + 1 is 0. Carry 1. But in marriage life, 1 + 1 is 1, isn't it? In another mathematics, 1 + 1 is 2, right? My humble gratitude to my family, my wife and children, for keeping my home while I was always away searching for knowledge and truth in the public and private sectors of the world. My son, I have 2 of my sons now. One have got a PhD about 7 years ago. Another one has got about 4 years ago. The third one is supposed to get in FUTA. We are still working on him. He will get his own very soon. All my children, all other children, the minimum qualification they have had today is masters. All of them have got masters. Thank you very much, madam.
Another round of applause for Professor Charles Akinyokun. Thank you very much, Prof. Please, let's be seated. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, his story better than himself. Prof has come and he told us the story of himself. It's customary for us to recognize and acknowledge distinguished guests in our midst. But today, Prof had used the time that we normally use to acknowledge people. So I'm sure he's going to acknowledge and greet everyone by himself after the lecture. However, as a mark of honor to the members of his family, we will quickly recognize the members of his immediate family. We recognize Mr. Yomi Akinyokun, the son. Engineer Oluwole Akinyokun, also a son. Thank you very much for coming. Engineer Shina Akinyokun, son. Mrs. Ronke Adaramoye, his daughter. Boluape Akinyokun, also a daughter. Kayode Akinyokun, son. Mr. Olushola Adaramoye, son-in-law. Damilola Akinyokun, daughter-in-law. Mrs. Mercy Akinyokun, wife. Mrs. Folashade Akinyokun, wife. And Reverend Mrs. Comfort Akinyokun, wife. I also recognize the most important group of persons here present today, great Futarians. Thank you all for coming.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I invite us to rise for the FUTA as well as the national anthem of our great nation. Great Futarians! Great! We will remain standing as the procession of the Vice Chancellor leaves the auditorium. We will remain standing. Thank you very much. We bid you farewell from the best University of Technology, Akure. All the mentees of Professor Akinyokun, Professor Iwashokun, all the mentees, Professor Akinyokun, are with you. Once again, thank you very much.